Hi, my name is Kristen with the data science team here at DDS Analytics, and I'm excited to share the results of our employee data analysis with you today. I just want to jump right into our process of trying to predict attrition, which is voluntary employee turnover. One of the first things we did was to convert all of our quantitative variables into categorical variables. So, for example, one of the variables we had was age of employees. So it started out as a continuous range of ages from 18 to 60, but we broke that into 4 separate groups of around the same size. And as you can see, the data retains a very similar shape, but it is in discrete chunks so that we could use the same metric for all of our variables. Once we did this, we began trying to predict attrition based on the many variables that we had. So we first found out that the overall attrition rate for the whole data set is around 16%. That just means that 16% of all employees in this data set left their company voluntarily. So we expected that variables like education level, as you see on the left, which have attrition ratios very close to each other and close to the baseline 16%, we expected that to not have a significant impact on turnover. And that's opposed to something like business travel, which has a wide range of attrition ratios that are far away from the overall attrition rate. So this average distance from the baseline attrition percentage is how we determined whether a variable was a good predictor for attrition or not. And so using this metric, we found that the top 5 factors that contribute to attrition are overtime, job role, job involvement, job level, and surprisingly, marital status. As an example, here's what we see in the marital status relative frequency table. We see that there's lots of variation between the groups, and especially drastic is the single group that has nearly a 26% attrition rate. And this may be because single employees are more willing to relocate or change jobs more often. This could be investigated more, but this is part of the results that we found. So using those top 5 variables as well as one additional variable, which was work-life balance, we use these in a k-nearest neighbors classification model, which uses an employee's 3 closest points to predict whether the employee left their company or not. And so with this model, we obtain an accuracy rate of around 86%, which is really good because it was tested on new data rather than the training data that the model was created with. And this model also had a sensitivity around 86% and a specificity around 71%. We also looked into trends related to specific job roles. So here we see that the incomes for employees vary quite a bit between job roles. So positions like manager or research director have the highest distribution of income, and roles like lab techs or sales reps have the very lowest distributions of monthly income. And we expected to see an association between these income levels and job satisfaction, but we actually found that those averages were fairly close together. So the mean job satisfaction only ranged from 2.57 to 2.8, and that was on a scale of 1 to 4. And circling back to attrition, here we have the attrition rates for the levels within each variable we used in our KNN model. And so, as you can see, there's lots of variation between the levels of each group, which we believe made them good predictors of attrition. In conclusion, we found that employee turnover can be predicted fairly accurately by just a few factors, such as overtime and marital status. Specifically, we saw that people who work overtime have very high attrition rates, which is to be expected, but maybe a more unexpected result was that single people tend to leave their companies more than married or divorced people. Also, based on our analysis, we concluded that attrition is influenced more by the contents or quality of someone's job, such as their job involvement or whether they have to work overtime very often, as opposed to just being influenced by their salary. So these were the results that we found, and thank you.